losing. Like almost, you know, how do you play that game from that kind of standpoint without that kind of same pressure you're used to from that winning slot? We're going to be looking at where we're going for Battleground number 2 here between these teams. HeroesHearth Esports will in fact take us to Tomb of the Spider Queen. No surprise there. You took away the Dragonshire. We still see, you know, commitment towards the first pick there for Team Freedom. And this is the next highest priority Battleground we have for HeroesHearth Esports. Last on the list would be Towers of Doom.
Well, if you're afraid of people coming at you, this might be the one where... Okay, so let's go back to the Crowan problem here, is that Hanzo 16-0. In the interview, Collusion's like, we're going to make sure and take care of that. They had first pick, did Team Freedom. They banned out Genji, picked up Hanzo for themselves. Didn't work out. How does that look this time? Because guess what? They have first pick again. Are they going to ban it? Or are you going to pick it? That's what I want to know. Where does your strength lie and how do you counter Crowan?
Yeah, it's a good point. You know, I'll be honest, I was conducting that interview with Collusion. I immediately followed that up with that. It didn't make it into the interview, but it was something along the lines of, are you afraid that committing too many resources to Crowan makes Arthalon, you know, kind of that wild, okay, you're going to set him up for that Rexar, the whatever his one-off hero is, to the Junkrat of Sky Temple? Is that, you know, kind of afraid there? And it does seem like they felt like that might be committing too much in that avenue, and that it doesn't enable, and that won't be too big of a concern. It is all about the Crowan area and focusing him down. So I still assume that we're going to see, yeah, that first pick, first ban level priority here for Freedom on Hanzo.
One hero that Freedom has not had priority on, Dreadnought, they just haven't quite caught up to the rest, Garrosh.
Yep.
They're not playing it. And this is a battleground where he does have higher priority because of the lanes, the early game skirmishes, the amount of control you have, and the tight choke points around this. Will they be willing to commit to it? I mean, on the other side, we don't see, I mean, we've had a fair bit of Garrosh play from Ishbu, but the Genji ban blows my mind. I could go in on why Genji has not done well for HeroesHearth, but there's something about that Genji that they fear.
There it is, Hanzo, first pick. Not surprised here for Freedom.
Maiev, let's do one more time.
Does Arthalon want to pick that up for himself? If we do see the Maiev locked in, what are we going to see with it? Would you assume that kind of Tyrael? If you aren't going to go into the Garrosh. Otherwise, I would expect really Garrosh. Appealing, yeah, Garrosh Maiev.
Diablo, maybe? You could always go down the Diablo route and feel safe on Tomb of the Spider Queen. Same for Garrosh. I mean, you could. A lot of warriors do well on Tomb in various ways.
I just want to say that when I suggested kind of draft priority, I actually personally think that HeroesHearth last draft priority with the Tyrael in the slot was the accurate way to be able to draft this, because it denies a lot of the counters while still being good with the synergy and still making the Garrosh like kind of unappealing. But that's, again, with the case in mind of what these teams have shown so far, I wouldn't mind if that's an adjustment. It's just one of those moments where it's very different from what you would be okay with at first. Now, this is a little bit bold.
Well, this is early this year. HeroesHearth. They were the kind of one-trick Hanzo, Tassadar, Diablo charge into a force wall, fell off for a bit. It's not a guarantee that we're going to get force wall, but you can rest assured it's a very real threat to whoever's on this front side from Freedom. Which maybe we get the gray main here and we just get the complete rip onto a frontline target, cursed bullet, into a force wall, into a devastating charge.
Yeah, the old one-shot trick there. One of the first versions, once Cursed Bullet kind of became popular after it slowly got buffed and buffed. You see the Diablo task. There's going to be that Garrosh we were talking about. I'll be honest, not the spot I expected that to be picked up for Freedom. After seeing the Diablo and Tassadar on the other side, I don't look at that and go, yeah, that's screaming, you know, kill potential. Maybe the Diablo. But other than that, I go, you know, you might be able to be willing to make it out past the second ban phase. They disagree. They're going to, for the first time ever here, put pretty high priority onto the Garrosh.
Dread and I have some of the worst WoW lore knowledge. And I remember this morning we were talking about Garrosh and we were talking about name, and then you just said Scream, and I'm like, somewhere in there's like a Hell Scream guy.
Yeah. Somewhere.
And then I'm like, oh, I really wish I could make a reference, but I don't remember because you ended up looking it up.
Grom was one of their names, and then there was another one. Yeah, I don't remember.
Like you looked it up, and I've already forgotten it.
I don't know. They like that gore howl thing. Tychus here for HeroesHearth Esports. I think I just broke J-How a little bit with that meme.
That hell scream thing. Or
Yeah.
no, what'd you say?
Gore howl.
Gore howl thing. My goodness, I'm getting drilled for lack of WoW knowledge.
Tychus is the ban here for HeroesHearth Esports. Not wanting to deal with the single target damage onto Diablo. Tracer ban, I think, is pretty heads up considering how this draft is kind of unfolded. A Task Tracer on Tomb would be real threatening. A little bit later than normal, but still a lot of damage output there.
They banned the Tychus, which does do well against Diablo, but it's also been a backup hero for Yoda. Now, if they end up going into Greymane here, I do worry about the fact that we might see a Jaina come out on the other end. It's a little bit more fragile between the Hanzo Jaina on the backside, but if you're worried about a Tassadar and a Greymane, maybe you have that frontline control, and then maybe Team Freedom picks up an Arthas at the backside, keeps that backside nice and safe.
Another hero aren't considering too much that we talked about a little bit before is Sonya with the Tassadar picked up. Not going to be the case. Goes with the Malthael over that to deal with the Garrosh. I just wanted to see the Tass, Sonya, Jaina synergy again. That trio, I will swear by it until the end of time. It hurts. It does a lot of damage.
I love Tassadar with Sonya.
Yeah, and then just Jaina bringing them all back in.
Well, they're obviously going that percentage-based damage. So if you get that first initial blow-up, that's where Stukov kind of lacks, is that safety button. Yes, his bio kill switch can be there, but if you get the devastating charge into the force wall, into any type of Jaina damage at that point, I mean, Garrosh might get a toss over, but he's already going to have that mark applied to him. And if he's below 50%, 40% at that point, which it's very likely, I mean, that's one dead Garrosh, toss or not.
It's also amazing to think that that last pickup could still be the Malfurion for HeroesHearth Esports very easily.
I think it's going to depend a lot on this one. If we get a Tyrael and a Greymane,
what if it's Abathur?
HeroesHearth did have the solo Abathur game last week on Braxis, in case anybody missed it.
Would they be willing to again here?
No, hell no.
Are you sure?
I am sure. Because it's Rexar.
I'm not sure. I think they might be willing to, I'll be honest. Mainly because it's in a situation to where they have the tasks, they have enough clear and control. Honestly, I can't come up with an argument. I was trying.
Malfurion or Uther? Outside shot
Definitely Mouth. There's a huge, huge awkward limbo thing that exists with Tassadar Uther. It's possible, but it is not pretty, is I think the best way to put it. It's one of those kind of, do you really want to make the burden of execution that much more harder on your shoulders by putting the two together? Because whenever you're like, oh, two people are dying, and then you're like, both, here's your armor, plus your shield, plus your burst heal, and you're like, oh, somebody else is 100% dead now because we just used 2 cooldowns on 1 target.
Diablo's got souls. Tassadar dimensional shifts out.
I like what you're thinking here, but
I didn't actually mean it. I didn't mean it. I take it back. You know, compositionally, Team Freedom, you know, they have the aggression, they have the protection, they have a little bit more of a well-rounded composition. It's just sometimes we've seen them. I remember the last time we saw them on Tomb of the Spider Queen, it seemed like this was their time to fight, and they just kind of backed away from it, allowed a turn in, things like that. They're not willing to pull the trigger. With Garrosh, it makes it a little bit easier to pull the trigger because you don't have to necessarily go forward. It's more about bringing the enemy team back towards you. But Tyrael's going to have his hands full to make sure that he helps protect the Garrosh quite a bit because he will be the priority target post 13 and 16 for that Diablo. I mean, Garrosh's got to be careful, and it's going to be up to Tyrael to make sure that he has that quick trigger on that Sanctification.
The biggest thing for me is that, you know, that kind of lack of offlaner mixed with the Jaina. Keep a close eye on the rotations that Jaina has in this game because if she, you know, maneuvers her way to the bottom lane, I think it's very likely that we see ourselves with maybe not a kill, but enough threat that leads to turn-ins and soak advantage, or at least rotational advantage, which on Tomb is very, very important. HeroesHearth also was one of the first teams that I feel like was willing to kind of make the adjustment with where they prioritize their rotations out of the Jaina into which lanes they want to go into, rather than matching the standard 1-4 and then focusing on that side lane. So I'm pretty excited to kind of see the fact that, you know, we have this untraditional off lane with the fact that it's going to be the Tyrael, and then a hero that can do such unique laning situations like Jaina.
See how that plays out. Jaina's still holding the level 1. Last game we saw go into that glow build, make sure to get that extra bonus damage. Instead, this time we're getting the extra slow. So a little bit of a change up. And to deal with something like a Garrosh who lacks that mobility, I mean, he's a right-click only hero. He can't toss himself. So making sure to control that front line, get that extra 2 seconds from 4 to 6 seconds on that slow.
And you were talking about, you know, the Wombo synergy that HeroesHearth Esports was able to show with the Diablo Tassadar early on, right? Now pair that with that opportunities with that level 1 on Jaina. It gets drastically higher chances that you see double force walls gaining value by being able to increase the duration there.
Ooh, if we get to 20, it's been we actually saw it in EU earlier, that force wall upgrade at level 20,
buddy.
where you get that mega cooldown. It was very effective on shrines. I think it's going to have the same impact here if we make it to level 20.
Every time I see that talent picked up, it really feels like Tassadar becomes Oprah and gives everybody walls. You know what I mean? Like when she has that, like, I'm going to give everybody a car episode, but it's just Tassadar giving out walls.
Who do I got to talk to about getting on that show for a car?
I've been looking my whole life to make a way on that. You know, it turns out it's a bit more difficult than it sounds.
Is she in LA?
You know what? I'll just call my boys. I know a couple people. They probably know.
I know what I'm looking up after this, bro. Actually, I'm just going to put my headset down. Be right back.
All right. See you, nerd. Laning control here for HeroesHearth. A little bit with that night camp picked up into their favor. Unlikely to really net hit kind of anything at this stage of the game, unless they can get those turn-ins, but BBJ not making the transition, at least not yet. Can I just say that Malfurion, oh, wait a minute, Greymane up on top, caught out. Nice gank attempt there from Ishbu.
Hey, what were you saying about that Jaina rotation and the kill potential?
It's pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah, it turns out it's one of the best here in the game, actually, in making that kind of happen. She, in my opinion, I said it at Western Eastern Clash, you know, I was surprised at how little Jaina, I feel like she fits the meta since the turret changes kind of came in, the playstyle in terms of she's great at wave clear, but she's great at kill potential too.
Zuckrug waited till McIntyre got out of vision. McIntyre at this point thinks that, all right, we've leashed it.
Yeah, but nah, that's not true. He came back to find, you know, the grim reality of the
Hey,
situation.
wait a minute.
But what if he goes in, gets the body block, set up Ishbu, double body blocks there, except they kind of split the seas for a moment. Zuckrug says, thank you, I'll walk right through here.
Lucky to be alive there as he walks away. You know, I think this style with Jaina, probably not common. You know, sometimes you'll kind of see this switch up. Jaina, if she has mana problems, well, they're made up for because you've got a Malfurion who's got an Innervate as his trait. So obviously being able to provide some of that over to Jaina as needed.
This is really interesting what we see kind of happening with these lanes now. Team Freedom has the kill potential within their 4-man, but they have no offlaner that can hold its own, right? Which is what we were talking about before, about the fact that Tyrael has to be that person into the Malthael. Nobody holds their own into the Malthael that much, so it's kind of like a 1-1-3, but that allows Jaina to have even more control over the kind of the rotations kind of unfolding. They've only gotten 1 kill out of it so far, but I'm just saying that there is going to be a lot of opportunities for that playstyle to gain an advantage for HeroesHearth, and it's very rare that we see a draft where that's even possible. I love it when we get stuff like that.
Always something new here, as we're going to see Garrosh has been hanging out in this bush for quite some time. BBJ finds him as Zuckrug starts to dip on out of there. And the control, both teams now with, well, I take that back. Because of that, what happened to all of Freedom's gems? Was there that many on Greymane?
There was quite a few, I think, but like not a colossal amount. I mean, probably like 5, 10.
Quite a bit behind. I mean, they're still 8 gems away. They still need more. HeroesHearth, we'll see if they try and get this early turn in. Not quite 7 yet.
Hearthon trying to buy a bit of time. Turn-in is successful there. After the distraction, Zuckrug getting flipped back, actually. Blizzard goes down. Jaina throws out the damage, but Collusion with that passive has enough and the Lurking Arm to keep him alive. Good work here from HeroesHearth Esports. See what they can make happen with the Webweaver phase.
Still a bit early, so generally we don't expect much at the 4.5-minute mark coming in with these Webweavers, but we'll see. You know, as you said, with that significant wave clear, see if they can get by. Hanzo did go that explosive arrow. Greymane does well to clear also. Krohn getting a little bit of damage onto Lutano, keeping him honest there.
Nobody is answering this mid Webweaver on the side of Team Freedom. J-How, that's a serious problem. That is a mega problem. Without the wave clear and the fact that they can run a 1-1-3 with a successful, middle and top, this is going to be absolutely devastating when it comes to the structures. And more importantly, I'm talking second, third web weaver phase. This gets very grim for Team Freedom. That in mind, HeroesHearth is not cycling anybody up towards the middle half, and the fact that they sent Malthael mid instead of the Tassadar means they aren't going to get as much seeds as they could. That was, to be honest with you, I think kind of bit all over from both ends.
I expected it to play out one way. 5 seconds later, I'm like, all right, things are changing.
Yeah.
5 seconds later, I'm like, all right, not real sure where the initial thing went, but either way, this is where we ended up, and where we end up right now is HeroesHearth just past level 9, Team Freedom fastly approaching. They have enough for a turn-in now. HeroesHearth still a ways away before they can get any turn-in, but they're going to turn in what they've got. Those little baby turn-ins, as you call them.
Yeah, I think we should come up with a more. I like to call it more of like on reserve, but I like baby turn-ins too. It's pretty cool. It just seems like one of those we could probably do better, type deal.
Just
I'm sure I'm sure everybody at home, can do a little bit better. And make sure you tweet at us with a hashtag HGC and let us know what you think about the baby turn-ins.
Speaking of baby turn-in, that's not a baby toss as Diablo gets flipped over, but Diablo finds his way back into the fight as Zugrug takes quite a bit of damage.
HeroesHearth has 10. The fact that Freedom's even kind of dancing around this. The fact that HeroesHearth isn't forcing the heck out of this middle fort.
McIntyre all over Nasmus here, but Nasmus going to be able to walk away. The night camp of HeroesHearth was cleared out. I know. They still had the spell aura and everything. I thought they would dive.
The stars aligned for a Freedom. What the heck are you doing around this fort? And then they were like, you know what?
We got Force Wall too, by the way.
We're going to let you hang out at that.
Force Wall could have locked him in. I think Devastating Charge might have been just coming off cooldown. I mean, we did go Diabolical Momentum, so, I mean, it does come around much, much quicker to get those big combos. Ooh, if he'd got the dismount there.
Nasmus coming in here, able to get the interrupt. Force Wall going to be met. No Shadow Charge this time.
Ooh, he does find Garrosh at the top end here, but he's going to send Diablo directly on the taunt onto Diablo, but he is locked in here.
Look at that Force Wall APOC. Oh my goodness. Isolating so many members of Team Freedom. Already getting the first kill. Dragon's Arrow to buy time, but that was clean. Last Rites is going to claim the next victim.
Oh no. Does he get over? That's enough poison damage.
No, the shielding's there.
The spread.
Oh, he keeps himself up.
But that is, okay, I don't think they lost any gems, but that does open up a turn-in here for HeroesHearth as we see Crone up at the top. One more was being turned in at the bottom, so opportunity for HeroesHearth. They got through some of the structures earlier, as you can see on the minimap. Mid-fort wall, about 75, 60%. Top took a little bit of damage. Bottom, not so much, so we'll see maybe triple fort. We saw the lack of response from Team Freedom, the lack of wave clear. Got a little bit more this go-round.
Yeah, but HeroesHearth didn't force their hand last time either, so I have a hard time going, yes, this is going to be a triple fort. I would say for sure 1, likely 2. I would assume that they very much could get 3 if things go into their favor, especially with the 13 spike. See how they play it out here.
First bullet, just trying to force McIntyre away, I believe there.
Guess mission accomplished. Tassadar is going to make the rotation down. Malthael will join the rest of the squad. Now look at this cutoff. Tyrael, you are dead, man. I don't know if you can make it out here. There's the dismount. Okay, so this is actually a really key moment. If HeroesHearth chases this is not worth. Yeah. This is not worth. I would actually ignore him from this point on. I'd be like, you know what? I don't care. You're going to whatever. I want the structure.
I guess the one little bit of that, 27 gems, I mean, it's not monumental amount to where it really adds up, and I agree with you. I think that there might have been something else to consider there, and they still get the fort down, so it's double fort play. They're going to rotate up. Here, Team Freedom has to get out of here. They are hearthing quickly. Yoda's got to get out of here fast.
They end up getting 2 back. Yoda and Zugrug make the mount and are able to get out. 13 talents here still here for HeroesHearth.
Dread, if HeroesHearth can goaltend a little bit longer, they are only 17 gems away from a 3rd turn-in. And so far, Team Freedom in 9.5 minutes have turned in 8 total gems.
That's a problem. I'm going to leave it at just that word. It's just a problem. Something that has to be resolved here.
More of these baby turn-ins.
Gaining a lot of value. What those do by kind of, dropping off the coins is kind of comms-wise what we used to kind of say a lot in the past. by putting those big coins there, it's just you're so much more comfortable taking these fights. Like, think about how often you have 13 into 12, and you're like, we have the upper hand, we should force. And you're like, but we have 100 gems and they have 20. So, like, is this really worth the trade-off of just a defensive talent tier versus the 16s, the 10s, and the 20s? They just get a lot better and a lot easier when you're like, dude, we have 9 gems risks. Like, that's 1 minion wave. Okay, that's fine. We can still force this fight.
Continuing the turn in, 35 gems, 5 gems away for HeroesHearth to have enough for that third turn in. Team Freedom, though, now rounding that 13 talent tier. See if they start to get aggressive, try and get something done as you see McIntyre and Nasmus have a little bit of a skirmish. But the Night Camp still pushing forward here in the middle. Look for that force wall if it comes out. Arthlon, you can see at the top left, if he joins this fight.
It's not enough.
It's not, but it's still, well, they have enough now. They are just short.
HGC is the last man to turn in, and that's your best zoner.
This is Team Freedom in a nutshell. They're unable. They're willing to concede for the hopes that they get the defense. If they get the defense, the problem is HeroesHearth will likely be 16 at the end of this, so Team Freedom still has a significant amount of time unless they take a fight under here. But knowing the pedigree of Team Freedom, they're not necessarily looking for a fight, Dreadnought.
They tried for a moment there. They were met with a force wall.
Kind of reminds me of your leg story. They tried. Dread doesn't skip leg day, ladies and gentlemen.
No, he's making fun of me because I did legs and then my knees were giving out, felt like all day long. Jaina's getting a flank here from below. Not going to pull the commit too hard here.
Force wall.
Oh, yes, force wall. Actually, that's a really good point.
Oh! I thought he was going to pull the trigger right on that gate area.
It's one of the highest, kind of choke points on Tomb of the Spider Queen, and just in general whenever you're playing force wall Tassadar. Always look to cut off around their own gate. You'd be like, oh, you have a gate, but I'll replace it, with my very own.
They're starting to threaten keeps just a little bit. 16 will be here when that tower goes down. It is picked up, but the Web Weaver very, very low. Top still is somewhat healthy, and now, again, just look for that one snap trigger. That's all it takes. It's just hard to go into a Garrosh because it can toss you further back, but the fact that HeroesHearth has pushed out this lane so far while that top Web Weaver is just now being responded to, Greymane just showed Dread.
Yeah, now they can use also Tassadar, with double Ws at 16, going with the multiple storms. He's one of the best. Sit back and just kind of slowly whittle away at your turrets. Jaina throws out blizzards here and there. If I am Team Freedom and I go, oh man, I really want to commit any kind of risks whatsoever, you wait till the blizzard goes down and then pick the fight after. They're not going to be willing to do so, at least not yet. Night Camp going to be picked up for HeroesHearth.
And this is going to buy time. It's going to rotate the mid lane, and if you're Team Freedom, you have to make a decision at some point. They did not go Holy Ground, so they're unable to do that.
Backdoor turn in. How many gems does he have on himself?
It better be enough. That's all I know.
Yeah, it is enough.
But if this keep goes down, just missing out on the charge. If this keep goes down, this would be so good for the longevity of this game because catapults defending against Web Weavers, Dread, are so strong. And if you look at the minimap, top lane pushed out almost to the keep. Mid lane, this is going to be cleared up here by HeroesHearth. It's going to be a much easier defense on this first one. Team Freedom, they're not even going to sniff 16 probably at the end of this.
It's one of those moments I would have liked to see HeroesHearth not clear those few minions, gain that ½ inch, and think about how free of a clear this would be. Yeah. I mean, they still get it, right? But I'm going to take anything I can get at that point of the game. And, they end up getting the free clear over mid. You talked about bottom. That's not going to be a problem. So HeroesHearth just will make the transition up towards top. If Team Freedom responds to bottom, then you have the answer of, well, then boss has got to be a problem. Granted, it's at 3/4 HP for now, so it's one of those. It's kind of an interesting trade-off, but either way.
Catapult just made it there, so he'll have something to say about it, Dread.
Yeah, he'll do his best.
Okay, JK. Lutana said no.
Arthlon makes his way down to bottom. There are enough gems for a Web Weaver phase, I believe, for HeroesHearth Esports.
They're sitting at around 40-ish, so they might have a little way, 45, so they'll have a little ways to go. 16 almost here for Team Freedom. That is going to be their opportunity. They're going to have very few opportunities from here on out, especially with that catapult pushing bottom, and then obviously the top mid. That's going to be where your best chances of success will be on the side of Team Freedom. They have enough for another turn in. With 16, Dread, it's time to get aggressive. It's time to pull the trigger on this composition.
Time's up. Let's do this, J-How. I am prepared. I agree with you wholeheartedly, but I can't help but feel like we have seen this time and time again out of Team Freedom, and they very much feel like they're the team that is comfortable to kind of be a bit more passive in these types of situations.
Put their foot in the ground and stand there. Like, I am Garrosh, come fight me. Get at me, bro. Obviously it's a little bit scarier with Diablo and Tassadar on the other side, but you have to do something. You have to force the hand, and you've got to find the way to make that happen. Siege Giants and Catapults bottom, Night Camp mid.
It's only a matter of time. They have to do something somewhere. It's really just a time bomb. Now we see Yoda. It's going to eat the welly. A little bit of damage there. Sanctification dropped very, very early. Garrosh is going to be the focus. Last right thrown down, not needed. 43 seconds before he's going to be back. Nasmus went in. He's not going to go out. Arthlon falling low, dimensional shift away from the Tyrael passive, and he is just fine. Bottom.
Boss turn in.
And there is going to be enough for game here for HeroesHearth Esports, most likely. It is a 20 spike, a Web Weaver, and a boss on that top lane.
They still need 3 gems, so somebody kind of needs to find those. Yeah.
Notice how he moved up to the wave instantly.
I love Arthlon, man. Always one step ahead. Always one concussion mine ahead sometimes as well. Either way, this is the boss being picked up here for HeroesHearth. They won the last team fight decisively, 6 kills to 0. It's not like they've just come out and smashed them. They just came out, got a few kills, and HeroesHearth is like, well, we're playing from ahead. Team Freedom, good luck playing from behind. And they're just unable to. And
there's an attempt to respond in the bottom turn-in. Actually, they might get it. They got it. They denied the turn-in. Oh.
If they get that.
That was so close. If they had gotten that Web Weaver phase, this wouldn't be a win condition. It would just be a top keep for free and most likely a win condition afterwards. But it would have stalled out Team Freedom, you know, quite a bit here. But not the case here. HeroesHearth. So if you're Team Freedom and you're going to get aggressive in this game, you dive past this boss before the 20 hits. You hopefully do it before the Web Weavers or after the Web Weavers, you know, kind of ascend in. You definitely do not let him get to core. Nasmus, you see him showing the signs of life. There goes the Dragon's Arrow. APOC combo goes in onto Garrosh.
Lurking arm, though, pushed him back, but Garrosh unable to make it out of there at all. Huge Twilight Dream hitting multiple members. Yoda trying to get out of there. Nasmus, he's not going to make it out. Maybe some trait value is going to save this, but 20 tier picked up. Ice block here by BBJ, and the victory march for HeroesHearth as they will be going up 2-0 as this boss and Web Weavers push in on the core of Team Freedom.
HeroesHearth Esports started again from that open division, struggling at the beginning here of HGC 2018 with their first 2 series, but since then have only dropped 1 and now making easy work of the 2nd seed of North America, up 2 games.
Poor Lutano on his way out, got clipped by, I believe, that Web Weaver. You hate to see it, man. You hate to see it.
Or you love, you know, it all depends on perspective, man.
I guarantee you there's quite a few HeroesHearth fans right now. And if you just say that name, they'll be putting a little bit in the chat right now.
Yeah.
Much love. A little bit of HeroesHearth flame action going on.
At this point, man, it just feels like HeroesHearth Esports, they have all the things going for them. I will say that I do feel like, you know, from a kind of uncensored perspective, and when I say that uncensored, it's more of just like a, you know, Dread's off the camera thoughts. Was like, I feel like Team Freedom has been struggling for some time, right? Like it is very apparent that things since roster changes with Team 12 and Team Freedom, at least the identities of both those teams have been struggling. They've been getting moments of improvement, but very much, you know, that overarching what we came to know of them in 2017 has been a bit hit or miss. But did I think that HeroesHearth would be able to be within this time frame as successful as they are, as dominant as they are? I mean, absolutely not. And I feel like the, you know, between last weekend's results, the first series of today's results, and now this one, North America is we looked at last part and we said, you know, very competitive. Anybody can take off anybody, but I feel like it's the same answer, but for very different reasons.
It's definitely flipped the script quite a bit. Again, Team Freedom started out 4-0. They're also the only team to take out Tempo Storm before today when Team 12 did it. So it was 4 months of progress before a second team was able to do it outside of the clash. And so we get to this point now, it's like, all right, Team Freedom still has to play Tempo Storm later this week. And if they both drop, they're both looking for some type of redemption. And you kind of make what happens with that series. But again, the main story, I've been saying this since the beginning of the year started. I'm continuing. There's no way you can avoid the fact that Team Freedom does not know how to pull the trigger on a team fight, and they don't know how to deal with the aggression. All other variables that are there where if I get an early kill or 2, I take the first objective, I can play from ahead very, very well. Volskaya didn't allow that option. There was one small window they came back here, could not play from behind. I think 0 kills at the end of that, 9-0. Yeah, you have to find a way to get a kill if you're playing that composition.
There is a lot of passiveness out of the play from Team Freedom if they do not have, you know, kind of the clear win condition sitting beforehand like they are so used to being, you know, kind of having whenever they are the winning and most dominant team. We're going to go to a quick commercial break, and when we come back, Game 3 here between HeroesHearth Esports and Team Freedom.